The Galactic Academy's biosecurity chief, Vale, stood frozen in the corridor, his 4 eyes blinking in sequential disbelief. Behind the human cadet, Aaron walked 3 Crithian cubs, apex predators whose adult forms could tear through reinforced durasteel, padding along like devoted puppies. Cadet Aaron. Vale's translator crackled, struggling to convey his species' particular brand of alarm. Protocol 17 clearly states, "I know the protocols, sir." Aaron didn't break stride, her boots clicking against the metal floor. The cubs matched her pace perfectly, their razor-sharp claws retracted, their 6 legs moving in synchronized rhythm. Vale's security team had already raised their plasma barriers, fingers hovering over tranquilizer controls. The Crithians were from Sector 9, a quarantined zone where even the plants had evolved aggressive tendencies. These cubs, each the size of a terrestrial lion, shouldn't have been anywhere near the residential wings. "They escaped from the xenobiology lab 2 hours ago," Vale said, his voice tight. 3 personnel are in medical bay with lacerations. "How are you? Why aren't they attacking you?" Aaron stopped and the cubs stopped. She turned to face Vale and the cubs turned with her, forming a protective semicircle. Their crystalline eyes, beautiful and terrible, reflected the corridor's cold lighting. "Because they don't fear me," Aaron said simply. Vale's antenna twitched. That makes no sense. Crithians attack anything they fear. They also attack anything they don't fear. They attack, period. It's their nature. "With respect, sir, you're half right." Aaron knelt down and the largest cub immediately pressed its scaled head against her palm. The gesture should have cost her the hand. Instead, a deep rumbling, the Crithian equivalent of a purr, resonated through the corridor. "They attack what they fear, but they also protect what respects them." The security chief's translator made a sound that suggested profound skepticism. "Humans have been part of the galactic community for only 15 cycles. We've studied Crithians for 300. They don't bond. They don't protect. They conquer or they kill." Aaron stood, her hand still resting on the cub's head. "Maybe that's the problem. You've been studying them as threats, not as beings." She gestured to the cubs. "When I found them in the ventilation shaft, they were terrified. Surrounded by strange smells, strange sounds, in a place that felt like a trap. Your team came at them with weapons raised, barriers up, treating them like the monsters you expected them to be." "They are monsters," Vale insisted. 3 of my people were attacked by frightened children defending themselves." Aaron's voice remained calm but carried an edge. "I approached them differently. I sat down, made myself small, didn't make eye contact. I let them come to me." Vale's security team exchanged glances, their various appendages shifting uneasily. This wasn't following any protocol they knew. "On Earth," Aaron continued, "we learned something about apex predators. We lived alongside them for millennia, sometimes as prey, sometimes as competitors, eventually as something else. We learned that respect isn't the same as fear. That strength doesn't always mean domination." She looked down at the cubs and they looked up at her with those alien crystalline eyes. "These 3? They're not following me because I dominated them or because I'm not a threat. They're following me because I showed them something they've never experienced in a lab." "And what's that?" Vale asked. "Trust without fear, strength without aggression." Aaron smiled. "On Earth we call it companionship." The largest cub made a soft, chittering sound and the other 2 responded in kind. It was, Vale realized with shock, a form of communication his xenolinguist had never documented, because they'd only ever studied Crithians in combat or captivity. "Humanity's homeworld," Aaron said, "is classified as a death world by galactic standards. Class 9 gravity, extreme climate variations, an atmosphere that would corrode most species' respiratory systems. But it's also home to creatures we call dogs, pack predators we've lived with for thousands of years. Catching solitary hunters who choose to live in our homes. Horses, prey animals powerful enough to kill us who let us ride on their backs." She gestured around at the assembled security team, at Vale, at the sterile corridors of the academy. "You're all from safer worlds, gentler places. You've forgotten what it means to coexist with danger, to find kinship in it rather than just eliminating it." Vale's antenna drooped, a gesture of concession. "The xenobiology department will want them back. They're valuable research subjects. They're children," Aaron corrected firmly. "And if your research involves terrifying them in sterile cages, maybe your research needs rethinking." The standoff lasted another moment before Vale's shoulders sagged. I'll need to file a report. The council will want explanations. Tell them, Aaron said, beginning to walk again with her improbable entourage, that humanity is good at making friends in dangerous places. It's how we survived. It's how we thrived. It's how we'll contribute to the galactic community, not by being the strongest or the smartest, but by remembering that even the fiercest hearts can be reached. As she rounded the corner, Vale heard her speaking softly to the cubs in a mixture of standard and what sounded like soothing nonsense, the universal language of caretakers everywhere. The cubs' rumbling purrs echoed back through the corridor. Vale stood there long after they'd gone, his security team still frozen in position. Finally, he tapped his communicator. Vale to xenobiology. About your escaped subjects? We may need to completely revise our Crithian interaction protocols, and someone get me the human cadet's admission file. I need to understand what kind of world produces someone who sees companionship where we see only claws. In the distance, Aaron's laughter mixed with alien chittering, the sound of a new kind of diplomacy being born in the cold corridors of the stars.